My wife cheated, left me for another man, and threw away our dreams. But now I'm rebuilding my life, finding love again, and embracing my worth after betrayal. We had just bought our first house together and had frozen the embryos for our future children at her insistence. She never stopped saying how much she loved me and how lucky she was. I did the same. I adored that woman. Then, suddenly, I wasn't enough for her, and she insisted on a divorce, saying she didn't want to be monogamous anymore. I came to find out soon after that she was having an affair with a CO worker. I came across her messenger chat and saw all the horrible things she said about me and how excited she was about it all. This was the complete opposite of the person she'd been around me. Reading that stuff was probably the most dramatic moment of my life at that point. Seeing betrayal from the only partner I'd ever loved still hurts to the core. I came to find out by accident 2 years later that she was still with the guy, and they bought a house together. We had to sell ours since neither of us could afford it on our own. I also found out the guy was 10 years older than her, thrice divorced, and, according to one of his exes, a serial cheater and physically abusive. But of course I couldn't say anything because it wasn't my place at that point. We were divorced now, and our embryos were thrown away. We had names picked out and everything. I still feel sick when I see couples that look like we did with their kids. Then, recently, a friend shared a screenshot from her Instagram. She was calling out the guy for cheating on her with multiple women. She apparently deleted it quickly, but it was cathartic to see her feel what I felt. It must have been pretty bad because she was never the kind of person to go on blast like that. Who would have thought a guy like that would turn out to be a scumbag cheater? Most people don't know that he was the guy who convinced her to leave me. They just offered their support and told her how amazing she was despite what that mean guy did to her. It makes me feel ill. Our first reaction comes from Chunk's empire. 2 things. 1, trashy people make classy people trashy. It never really works the other way around. 2, cheaters are fake liars. That's what they do. I don't care what type of cheater, how long they've been married, male, female, tall, short, or what race they are. They all lie, come home to their significant others, and act like everything is wonderful. That is fake. Even if there is guilt and an eventual confession or an immediate confession, they still broke vows. It's who they are. CA Girl 17 says, I think this is actually pretty common. If you are hooking up with someone who you know is in a committed relationship, then I think that says something about your character. If you're willing to date someone who you know cheated on their partner multiple times, I think that also is a red flag. It kind of shows that you're okay with this behavior in a way. It would be different if the affair partner didn't know, of course. Our next thought comes from As Above So Below 4. I can kind of relate to that small glimpse of how did it feel, huh? Not exactly the same, but my ex was my high school sweetheart. We were together from 15 to 31. Originally, I was suspicious of one particular KIO worker, and it took a long time to get proof. When I did, I was suspecting he was ending it with her and starting with a new KIO worker. I was right, and I found a few other things from before he started the affair with the original CO worker. Their affair lasted 2.5 years. It started slow, so it did take me a while to catch on and become suspicious. So, that was the first time we split up. I was pregnant with our third. We tried again when she was 5 months old. A medical emergency for me and a sob story from him, on top of my guilt about having a new baby and her dad not there, is why I caved and tried again. It lasted 3 months before I found out he had never stopped, and I found way more evidence going back most of our relationship. That was it for me. We haven't been together since. That was over 2 years ago, but at the time he just moved next door because he was friends with the neighbor, so that was awkward. And now to the point, our pharmacist started coming by almost daily, at least every other day, and I checked our call logs since he was still on my phone plan. They talked all day long. I knew it meant he was seeing her, which I just thought was so crappy. 1, because he was doing this where I had to watch her coming and going every day, and 2, yep, you guessed it, she was married. So, not only did he ruin ours, he doesn't care about others either. He kept lying, saying they were just friends and she was trying to help him through his tough time. Bullshit. Eventually, she found out I was upset about the fact he was parading her in and out and was being told they were just friends. She apparently thought I knew and was okay with it since I ended things, but I mean, come on, it's still disrespectful. She decided to knock on my door and confess it all. So, a few weeks later, he asked me if I had sent a letter to her husband outing them. It was a handwritten letter telling him all about their affair. I was like, well, I considered it, but unfortunately, it looks like someone beat me to it, so no, I did not, and he let it go. I didn't find out until later that he had sent her husband the letter. Apparently, he was so upset that she wouldn't leave her husband for him, that he thought if he sent the letter with a bunch of details and telling him what to look for in her phone, etc., her husband would be so mad he would just leave her right then, and then she would have no choice but to be with him. Joke's on him, though. They decided to work through it, and she blocked him on everything so she could focus on her husband. I didn't find out until after this had all happened, so at the time, he had just told me they ended things amicably because he decided it was wrong to continue doing this and ruining their marriage after what he did to ours. So when I found out the truth, I couldn't help but feel slightly happy that he got a taste of his own medicine. All the girls who expected him to leave me because he kept stringing them along until they ended up heartbroken and finding out at least a little bit of how I felt, but on a much smaller scale. But it was short-lived because it still pained me that not only did he have no concern for her marriage, he was out there ruining other marriages too. Unfortunately, it was not the last time I found out he was messing with people who were either married or engaged. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. No one deserves it, but it does get easier as time goes on. You never forget, but you do learn to put it in the past and move forward. I think the hardest part for me was that our entire relationship, every time a female relative or friend would come to us because they were cheated on, he would sit and tell them how amazing they are and they don't deserve this, how they could do so much better and deserve to have someone there who loved them and wouldn't hurt them. I mean, to the extent of starting stuff with the guys sometimes because of how they hurt these girls. Then, to find out later he cheated pretty much the entire relationship made me feel so worthless, like, so I wasn't amazing? I didn't deserve someone who loved me and didn't want to hurt me. I wasn't worth someone choosing me and being faithful to me. Why? What is so wrong with me? It took me a long time to get past that part and figure out that I wasn't worthless and that this was a problem with him, not me. So, I hope you find peace and happiness in everything you deserve. We just have to keep taking things one day at a time. Sorry for the novel. Moving on, what the hell is cuddling? First things first, I, a female 28, left my husband, a male 30, of almost 7 years a little less than a month ago. He cheated on me with a very close mutual friend of ours. My decision to leave was final. He knew from the beginning that infidelity was an absolute deal breaker. It hasn't stopped him from groveling and begging me to come back. He wanted to open our relationship with this person for a while, and my answer was always no. About a year ago, he let me know they revealed they had a crush on each other. I thought it was innocent enough, but then he started spending more time texting her than speaking with me. He would ask specifics, if they could have casual sex, if they could kiss, if they could exchange nudes. I had no reason to distrust him at that point in time. We had an incredible, loving relationship. He just happened to have a higher sex drive than me. I said no to all of those things, but feeling extremely emotionally distraught and wanting to make him happy, I finally relented. He asked if they could hug, and I said, of course you can hug your friends. You can even cuddle if you want. So, here's the question that's been bothering me. What the hell does cuddling mean to everyone else? To me, a demisexual person, cuddling is what you do with your child or pet. It's leaning your head on a friend's shoulder while you watch a movie. It's platonic, affectionate touch for the sake of touch. I think it's a welcome and special thing between friends. Well, this is not how they interpreted it. The physical aspect of the relationship is what I found out about last month. They didn't go all the way, but it certainly wasn't resting heads on shoulders. My other friends knew about this, but were told that it was ethical non-monogamy. Here's some things I've been told. You were okay with it. They told me you gave them permission to cuddle. If it were me, I also would have expected a cuddle arrangement to go the direction that it did. Oh no, yeah, that's what cuddling means to me too. Did I miss something? Did I consent my life away because I have the wrong definition of this word? What do other people think that means? I didn't think it was something I had to be specific about. In either case, nudes were sent, kisses were had, every boundary was broken, even without my misunderstanding of this word, and neither of them told me about it for an entire year. I eventually found out through one of those friends. There's no fixing either relationship, but no desire to either. But boy, this is eating at me along with 1,000 other things. Edit. Thank you all. It seems like a lot of people agree that it's basically more intimate than hugging, yet you guys say you still would not let your partner do that with anyone else. Well, don't I feel dumb? To be fair, I allowed it after a month or more of gaslighting and emotional bludgeoning, so I won't be too hard on myself, but it's certainly not a mistake I'll be making in the next relationship. Edit 2. Demisexual means that I only experience sexual desire if I already have a deep emotional connection to someone. I've only felt it with 3 people ever. It's not a huge part of my identity, but the word is relatively accurate, so I use it for simplicity's sake. This whole situation made it very obvious that I do not see things the way most people do, probably feeding into my gullibility. Joke's on me. That's the bitter pill I've been swallowing since the truth about my ex-wife Sarah and her affair came crashing down around me. The irony stings. Here I was, thinking we were building a forever home, planning for kids with frozen embryos, whispering I love you like it was gospel, only to find out she was laughing at me behind my back, spilling venom about me to her coworker lover in secret chats. 2 years after our divorce, seeing her Instagram post calling him out for cheating on her felt like a twisted kind of justice, but it didn't heal the wound. It just reopened it, reminding me how deeply I'd been fooled, how the woman I adored was a stranger in disguise. Now, at 36, I'm piecing myself back together, learning to trust again, and vowing never to let love blind me to the red flags I missed. The betrayal hit me like a freight train 3 years ago, just months after we closed on our dream house, a cozy 3-bedroom with a wraparound porch perfect for the family we were planning. Sarah had been insistent about freezing embryos, talking about our future kids with names like Emma and Liam, her eyes bright with excitement. I was all in, head over heels for this woman who'd been my partner for 7 years, my wife for 4. She was a marketing manager, vibrant and ambitious, always telling me how lucky she felt to have me, a software engineer with a steady job and a heart full of devotion. I mirrored her words, telling her she was my everything, my rock. Then, out of nowhere, she changed. She started talking about non-monogamy, saying she didn't want to be tied down anymore, that she needed freedom. I was blindsided, pleading with her to explain, but she was resolute. She wanted a divorce. The truth came later, by accident, when I borrowed her laptop to check my email and saw a messenger notification pop up. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it, my heart sinking as I read her chats with Greg, a coworker 10 years her senior. They were explicit, giddy, cruel. Her mocking my boring routines, calling me clingy, gushing about how Greg made her feel alive. It was a gut punch, reading the words of a woman I didn't recognize, a woman who'd been lying to my face while planning a life with someone else. I confronted her, tears in my eyes, and she didn't deny it. She just shrugged, said she'd outgrown me, and moved out a week later. We sold the house, split the proceeds, and discarded the embryos, our unborn dreams reduced to medical waste. I was shattered, questioning everything I thought I knew about love. The divorce was finalized a year later, and I tried to move on, throwing myself into work, hitting the gym, avoiding anything that reminded me of her. But the pain lingered, especially when I'd see young families at the park, kids laughing, parents holding hands. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the loss of the future we'd planned, the kids we'd named, the life I'd believed in. I started therapy, a gruff but empathetic guy named Dr. Patel, who helped me unpack the grief and anger. "You loved her fully," he said. "Her betrayal doesn't diminish that. It's her failure, not yours." Those words became my mantra, but they didn't erase the ache. 2 years post-divorce, a friend mentioned in passing that Sarah and Greg were still together, living in a house they'd bought. I dug a little, against my better judgment, and found out Greg was a thrice-divorced serial cheater with a history of abuse, according to one of his exes who'd posted on a local forum. I wanted to warn Sarah, to scream that she'd traded me for a monster, but I stayed silent. She'd made her choice, and I wasn't her savior anymore. I focused on rebuilding. New apartment, new hobbies like rock climbing, new friends who didn't know the old me. I was healing, slowly, until that Instagram screenshot landed in my inbox last month. Seeing Sarah call out Greg for cheating with multiple women was surreal. She'd deleted the post quickly, but my friend had captured it. A raw, uncharacteristic outburst from a woman who'd always curated her image carefully. "He's a liar and a cheat," she wrote, detailing how she'd found texts and emails with other women. The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd left me for a man who turned out to be exactly what she'd become, a betrayer. Part of me felt vindicated, a petty satisfaction that she was tasting the pain she'd inflicted. But mostly, I felt sick, not just for her but for the cycle of hurt we're all caught in. Greg had convinced her to leave me, to break our vows, only to break her in turn. And the world, her friends, her followers, rallied around her, calling her amazing, oblivious to the fact that she'd done the same to me. The comments from Chunk's Empire, CA Girl 17, and As Above So Below 4 on the forum where I shared my story resonated deeply. Chunk's Empire's point about cheaters being fake liars hit home. Sarah's ability to lie to my face while professing love was a masterclass in deceit. CA Girl 17's observation about character rang true too. Sarah knew Greg's history, his divorces, yet chose him anyway, signaling her own moral drift. And As Above So Below 4's story of her ex's relentless cheating mirrored my own pain. The hypocrisy of someone preaching fidelity while breaking it, the way it makes you question your worth. Their words validated my anger, but also urged me forward, toward peace. I'm in a better place now, though the scars remain. I started dating again 6 months ago, cautiously, with a woman named Mia, a 32-year-old graphic designer who's been through her own betrayal. We met at a climbing gym, bonding over shared bruises and a love of indie music. She's different from Sarah, quietly confident, fiercely honest, with a dry humor that keeps me grounded. We're taking it slow, no talk of houses or kids yet. But every date feels like a step toward trust. Mia knows my story, knows I'm still healing, and she's patient, never pushing for more than I can give. With her, I'm learning to love without fear, to see red flags as warnings, not challenges to overcome. Therapy with Dr. Patel continues, twice a month now, focusing on rebuilding my self-esteem and setting boundaries. He's helped me see that Sarah's betrayal wasn't about my worth but her own insecurities, her need for validation outside our marriage. You can't control others' choices, he says, but you can control how you respond. I've responded by investing in myself. New skills, new experiences, new connections. I've taken up photography, capturing sunsets and cityscapes, finding beauty in the world again. I've joined a book club, where debates over novels like The Great Gatsby remind me there's life beyond my pain. And I've reconnected with old friends, guys I drifted from during my marriage, who've welcomed me back with beers and bad jokes. The embryo loss still haunts me, though. I dream about Emma and Liam sometimes, faceless kids who never were, and wake up with a hollow ache. Dr. Patel says it's normal to grieve what might have been, and I'm learning to honor that grief without letting it define me. I've created a small ritual, writing letters to those unborn kids, tucking them into a journal I keep private. I would have loved you, I wrote last week. But I'm finding love elsewhere now, and it's enough. It's not closure, not exactly. But it's a step toward letting go. Sarah's Instagram post stirred up old wounds, but it also clarified something. I don't want to be her anymore, caught in a cycle of betrayal and pain. I feel no urge to reach out, no need to gloat or warn her about Greg's true nature. She's living her consequences, and I'm living mine. A life I'm building brick by brick, free of her shadow. I've blocked her on all platforms, not out of spite but self-preservation. Her story isn't mine to carry, and I'm done letting it weigh me down. Mia and I talked about the post over coffee last weekend, her hand on mine as I spilled the messy details. You're not that guy anymore, she said, her eyes steady. You're here, with me, and that's enough. Her words echoed Dr. Patel's, a reminder that I'm not defined by Sarah's choices. I'm defined by mine, choosing to heal, to love again, to trust that I'm worthy of something real. Mia's not perfect, and neither am I, but we're honest, and that's a foundation I never had with Sarah. I've been reflecting on the red flags I missed with her, the sudden push for non-monogamy, the late nights at work, the way she'd deflect when I asked about her day. I wasn't perfect either, too trusting, too focused on our future to see the present unraveling. I've learned to listen to my gut now, to question when something feels off. With Mia, I'm open about my needs, communication, fidelity, respect, and she meets me there, no games, no lies. It's new territory, scary but exhilarating, like the first time I scaled a tough route at the gym. The forum responses, especially as Above So Below 4's story, hit me hard. Her ex's hypocrisy, condemning cheaters while cheating himself, mirrored Sarah's duplicity. She'd cry over rom-coms about loyalty, tell me how much she hated liars, all while planning her escape with Greg. It made me feel worthless, like I wasn't enough to inspire fidelity. Dr. Patel's helped me reframe that. Her cheating was about her character, not yours. I'm starting to believe it, thanks to Mia's affirmations, my friends' support, and the slow, steady work of therapy. I've also been thinking about the broader patterns of cheating, the way Chunk's Empire described it as a universal flaw. Liars coming home, acting like everything's fine. Sarah did that, kissing me goodnight while texting Greg, smiling at me over breakfast while mocking me in her chats. It's chilling, the ease of her deceit, but it's also freeing to know it's not personal. Cheaters cheat because of who they are, not who I am. That knowledge doesn't erase the pain, but it dulls the edge, letting me focus on what I can control, my healing, my future. I'm planning a solo trip next month, a week in the Pacific Northwest, hiking and photographing the coast. It's a chance to reset, to be alone with my thoughts without Sarah's ghost lurking. I've invited Mia to join me for the last 2 days, a small step toward blending our lives. She's excited, already researching trails and dive bars. And I'm starting to see a future with her, not the one I planned with Sarah, but something new, something ours. The house, the embryos, the dreams, they're gone, but I'm not. I'm here, climbing, coding, laughing, loving. Sarah's betrayal was a storm, but I'm rebuilding in its wake, stronger, wiser, unafraid to demand my worth. The joke's on her now, not because she's hurting, but because I'm not. I'm free, and that's the sweetest revenge of all. Sitting in my new apartment, a modest but light-filled space with a view of the city skyline, I feel a quiet triumph. The bare walls are slowly filling with my photographs, crisp black and white shots of rugged coastlines, vibrant street scenes, and the occasional candid of Mia laughing, unaware of the lens. My guitar leans against the couch, a reminder of the music I've rediscovered, and a stack of books from my book club sits on the coffee table, dog-eared and annotated. This is my life now, one I've built from the ashes of Sarah's betrayal, and every day I'm proving to myself that I'm enough. Her affair with Greg, her cruel words in those messenger chats, the loss of our house and embryos, they cut deep, but they didn't break me. I'm standing taller now, and that's a victory sweeter than any revenge. The past 3 years have been a journey through grief, anger, and finally, hope. After the divorce, I was a wreck, haunted by Sarah's lies and the future we'd lost. Finding those chats was like stumbling into a parallel universe where the woman I loved despised me. She called me predictable, needy, said I'd never understand her fire. Reading that, I felt my world implode, my trust in love shattered. But therapy with Dr. Patel, the support of friends, and my own stubborn refusal to stay broken pulled me through. When I saw Sarah's Instagram post last month, outing Greg for cheating on her with multiple women, it stirred the old pain but also cemented my resolve. I'm done letting her define me. She's reaping what she sowed, and I'm sowing something new, a life of authenticity, purpose, and joy. The Instagram post was a turning point, not because I reveled in her pain, but because it showed me how far I've come. I didn't feel the urge to message her, to say, "I told you so," or to warn her about Greg's history of abuse and cheating. I didn't need to. Her choices, her consequences, they're hers to carry. Instead, I called Mia, told her about the post, and we talked for hours, not about Sarah, but about us, our plans, our dreams. Mia's presence in my life is a balm, a reminder that love can be honest, that I'm worthy of it. We're planning our Pacific Northwest trip, and I'm counting down the days to hiking the Oregon coast with her, capturing the rugged beauty through my lens, building memories that are mine, not tainted by Sarah's shadow. Therapy with Dr. Patel remains a cornerstone. We've shifted from processing the betrayal to building a vision for my future. "You're not just surviving," he said last week. "You're thriving. What do you want next?" It's a question I've been wrestling with, and the answers are starting to take shape. I want to grow my photography, maybe exhibit my work at a local gallery. I want to deepen my relationship with Mia, not rushing but letting it unfold naturally. I want to be a man who trusts without naivety, who loves without losing himself. Dr. Patel's helping me set boundaries too, learning to spot red flags like Sarah's sudden push for non-monogamy and to voice my needs clearly. With Mia, I'm practicing that, being upfront about my fears and hopes, and she meets me with the same openness. Mia's become a partner in ways Sarah never was. Last weekend, we went climbing at our favorite gym, spotting each other on a tough route. She made it to the top first, grinning down at me, and I felt a surge of pride, not just for her, but for us, for the trust we're building. Over dinner after, we talked about our pasts, her ex who lied about his finances, my marriage that crumbled under deceit. "We're both a little banged up," she said, her hand on mine. "But that's what makes this real. Her honesty, her willingness to see my scars makes me believe in love again. We're not perfect. She's stubborn. I'm over-analytical. But we're committed to truth, and that's enough for now." I've been diving deeper into my hobbies, reclaiming parts of myself I'd lost. Photography's my passion, and I've been taking weekend trips to nearby towns, capturing old barns, bustling markets, quiet lakes. I've started a portfolio, encouraged by a friend in my book club who runs a small gallery. "Your work has soul," she said, and I'm starting to believe her. I've also been playing guitar more, jamming with a coworker who's in a local band. We're not gigging yet, but the late-night sessions, strumming Springsteen covers and trading riffs, feel like freedom. I've even written a few original songs, raw and personal, about loss and rebirth. Ethan, my climbing buddy, says they're good, and I'm thinking about sharing them at an open mic night. Work's been a steady anchor. As a software engineer, I've always found solace in code. Logical, predictable, unlike love. My team's working on a new app, and I've taken on a leadership role, mentoring younger developers. It's rewarding, seeing them grow, and it's boosted my confidence. My boss noticed, offering me a promotion last week. I'm considering it, weighing the extra responsibility against my need for balance. I've learned from Sarah's betrayal not to let one part of my life, work, love, anything, consume me. I want to live fully, not just exist. The embryo loss still hits me hard. I've written more letters to Emma and Liam, the kids we never had, tucking them into my journal. "I'm finding my way," I wrote last night. "You're part of my heart, always, but I'm making room for new dreams." Dr. Patel says this grief may never fully fade, but it's softening, blending into my story rather than dominating it. I've started volunteering at a local youth center, teaching kids basic coding and photography. Their energy, their curiosity, fills a void I didn't know I had. One boy, Jamal, reminds me of myself at that age, quiet, eager, a little lost. Helping him debug his first program or frame a shot feels like fathering, in a small way, and it's healing. The forum responses, Chunk's Empire, CA Girl 17, as above so below 4, keep resonating. Chunk's Empire's blunt truth about cheaters as fake liars explains Sarah's duplicity, her ability to profess love while plotting her exit. CA Girl 17's point about character is spot on. Sarah's choice to stay with Greg, knowing his history, showed her moral drift. And as above so below 4's story of her ex's hypocrisy, preaching fidelity while cheating, mirrors Sarah's crocodile tears over rom-coms while mocking me in secret. These stories validate my pain but also inspire me to move forward, to not let Sarah's actions define my worth. I've been reflecting on the broader patterns of infidelity, the way it thrives on deceit and rationalization. Sarah's affair wasn't just a fling, it was a calculated betrayal, planned in secret chats while she smiled at me over dinner. Greg's cheating on her now with multiple women follows the same script: lie, act normal, repeat. It's a cycle I'm glad to be out of, but it's also a warning. I'm vigilant now, not paranoid but aware, watching for signs of dishonesty in others and myself. With Mia, I'm honest about my fears, and she's honest about hers. It's a foundation Sarah and I never had, built on sand instead of stone. I've reconnected with my family too, after pulling away during the divorce. My sister Claire came to visit last month, bringing her kids for a weekend of chaos and laughter. We talked late into the night and I told her about Sarah, the embryos, Mia. She cried, hugged me, said she's proud of how I'm rebuilding. My parents are planning a trip next month, and I'm looking forward to showing them my new life. My apartment, my photos, maybe even introducing them to Mia. Their support, quiet but steady, reminds me I'm not alone, that I have roots to ground me. I've also been exploring spirituality, something I'd ignored for years, not religion exactly, but a search for meaning. I've been reading books like Man's Search for Meaning and The Alchemist, finding comfort in their wisdom. I've started meditating just 10 minutes a day, sitting on my balcony, breathing in the city's hum. It's not a cure, but it helps me stay centered, to let go of the anger that still flares when I think of Sarah and Greg. I've even tried yoga, dragged by Mia to a class where I stumbled through poses and laughed harder than I have in years. It's humbling, this journey of self-discovery, but it's mine. The Pacific Northwest trip is 2 weeks away, and I'm buzzing with anticipation. I've mapped out trails, Multnomah Falls, Cannon Beach, Olympic National Park, and booked a cabin for Mia and me for the last 2 nights. I'm bringing my camera, hoping to capture the raw beauty of the coast, but also the moments with her. Her smile, her wind-tangled hair, the way she looks at me when she thinks I'm not watching. This trip isn't about erasing Sarah, it's about writing a new chapter, one where I'm the author, not the victim. I've started a blog, too, anonymously, sharing my story and photos, inspired by the forums. I write about betrayal, healing, the small victories of moving on. The response has been overwhelming. Comments from strangers saying my words help them leave toxic relationships, find therapy, or simply feel less alone. It's humbling, this connection through pain, and it's pushed me to keep writing, to keep sharing. I've even submitted a few photos to a local contest, encouraged by my gallery friend. Win or lose, it's a step toward putting myself out there, toward owning my creativity. Work's going well, and I've accepted the promotion, with a plan to balance it with my personal life. I've set boundaries, no late nights, no skipping climbing or book club. My team's thriving, and I'm mentoring a young coder, Priya, who reminds me of my own early days. Hungry, a little unsure, but full of potential. Helping her debug code or navigate office politics feels like paying it forward, like I'm building something lasting beyond myself. Mia and I are growing closer, but we're deliberate, no rushing into cohabitation or grand plans. We've talked about kids, hypothetically, and she's open to it, but we're both cautious, wanting to be sure. I've told her about Emma and Liam, the embryos, and she listened, her hand on mine, no judgment. "You'll be an amazing dad someday," she said, and I believed her. For the first time, I can imagine a family again, not with Sarah's ghost but with Mia, or someone else if this doesn't last. I'm not defined by one loss, one betrayal. The kids at the youth center keep me grounded. Jamal's coded his first game, a simple platformer, and his grin when it ran was worth every hour I've spent there. I'm planning a photography workshop for them, teaching them to see the world through a lens, to find beauty in the ordinary. It's healing, this act of giving, and it's reminded me that I have something to offer, that my pain hasn't stripped me of purpose. Sarah's Instagram post is a distant memory now, its sting faded. I don't check her profiles, don't ask mutual friends about her, she's a chapter closed, a lesson learned. Greg's cheating, her public pain, they're not my story anymore. I'm writing a new one, with climbs and photos, music and Mia, friends and family, a life that's mine. The forums, Chunks Empire, CA Girl 17, as above so below 4, gave me perspective, showed me I'm not alone. Their stories, like mine, are about surviving, rebuilding, finding joy after betrayal. I'm part of that now. Not just a victim, but a survivor, a creator, a man who's free. Last night, Mia and I cooked dinner together. Tacos, messy and delicious, with music blaring and laughter filling my apartment. We danced in the kitchen, her head on my shoulder, and I felt a peace I hadn't known in years. The pain's still there, a quiet scar, but it's not in charge. I'm in charge, and I'm choosing joy, love, life. Sarah's betrayal was a storm, but I've built a home in its wake, strong and true. And that's the sweetest revenge of all. The weeks ahead are full. Work, the trip, a gallery submission, an open mic night. I'm nervous, but excited, ready to step into the unknown. Mia's coming to the open mic, cheering me on as I play my songs raw and real. My friends will be there too, a circle of support I've earned through honesty and time. I'm not the man I was with Sarah, naive and trusting to a fault. I'm wiser, stronger, unafraid to demand my worth. I'm free, and the world is open, full of trails to climb, photos to take, songs to sing. I'm ready to live it, one day, one moment, one truth at a time.